You know that feeling, right? You're in a room and everyone is just competing, fighting to be the loudest, to have their voice heard over everyone else. In all that chaos, I want you to look for the person who says nothing at all. They're the one you should be watching.
Most people see that quietness and just write it off. They think, oh, they're just shy or weak, or maybe they just don't have anything important to add. And let me tell you, that is a critical and maybe even a final mistake. Today, we're going to dissect exactly why the quietest person in the room is often the biggest threat to anyone foolish enough to underestimate them.
You see, we live in a world that completely gets this wrong. We think noise equals influence, that being loud means you're strong, but that's not the truth. The truth is, silence isn't an absence of power. It's a carefully sharpened weapon. It's not just empty space, it's a loaded chamber waiting. So the first thing you have to understand is that for this kind of person, silence is not passive. No way. It's an active mission to gather intelligence. While everyone else is busy broadcasting their thoughts, their plans, their weaknesses, the silent observer is just listening. They're mapping out the entire social battlefield, taking notes on who's aligned with whom, what people are afraid of, and exactly where the weak spots are in every single person who's talking. And this isn't just some pop psychology idea. This is a foundational principle of power. Robert Greene, in his incredible book, The 48 Laws of Power, literally codified this. It's his fourth law. Always say less than necessary. This isn't just about being quiet for the sake of it. It's about strategic communication. It's about getting that your words are a resource, and every single one you use either builds your power or gives it away for free. The logic behind this is just brutally simple. Look, power is a game of appearances. When you're constantly talking, you give away too much. You make yourself seem common, predictable. You run the risk of saying something stupid that someone can and will use against you. But when you control what you say, you seem more profound, more mysterious. Your silence actually forces other people to fill that void. And trust me, in their nervousness, they will reveal everything about themselves. The advantages here are just crystal clear. Let's break it down. When it comes to status, talking too much makes you seem ordinary. Strategic silence, it makes you seem powerful, totally in control. For information security, talking all the time is a huge risk. You're basically leaking your own plans. Silence keeps your opponents guessing. And then there's the psychological control. When you talk, you give your opponent clues on how to manipulate you. But silence, it creates this immense pressure, forcing them to reveal their hand. You gain power just by letting them unravel, all on their own. But look, this isn't just a simple strategy that anyone can pick up and use. It's often deeply rooted in a very specific type of person, a certain psychological archetype. To really get why this is so powerful, we need to get inside the mind of the person who uses silence this effectively. In pop culture, you'll often hear this person called the Sigma archetype. You might know them as the lone wolf. The thing is, they have all the strength, all the intelligence, all the charisma of a traditional leader, the alpha, but they have absolutely zero interest in leading the pack or playing by its rules. And this comparison is so important. An alpha needs a hierarchy to dominate. Their power comes from the outside, from the applause, the followers, the obedience of the group. A Sigma, though? Their power comes from within. They're focused on their own goals, their own internal code. They just don't need your approval, which makes them incredibly, incredibly hard to predict and even harder to control. So these are the real pillars of their strength. Their hyper-independency means they just don't rely on other people. Their nonconformity means you can't pressure them with social trends or what's popular. But the most dangerous trait of all, it's their emotional self-regulation. Because they don't react emotionally, their opponents have absolutely no idea what they're really thinking or what their next move is going to be. They are a complete blank slate, a perfect strategist. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most dangerous part of the silent person. Their silence isn't just for watching. It's the quiet preparation before a single, decisive move. The best way to think about it is like a predator in the wild. I mean, this proverb says it all, doesn't it? The noisy animals in the jungle, they're usually the prey, broadcasting their location to everyone. The apex predator? It moves in silence. It doesn't waste energy trying to intimidate you. Its presence is enough. Real power doesn't need to scream its own name. This is a powerful concept called strategic patience. The silent person sits back and watches everyone else burn themselves out in petty arguments and social games. They see all that stuff as a pointless waste of energy. So instead, they save every single ounce of their focus, of their power, and they wait. They wait for that one critical moment,
that single opening where their action or their words will have the biggest, most irreversible impact. So why is this opponent so terrifying? Let's get tactical. First, you get no warning. Loud people tell you what they're going to do. The silent person just strikes. Second, they're energy efficient. They don't get sucked into little fights. They are focused only on the final outcome. And third, emotional control. By taking emotion out of it, they stay perfectly logical and completely unpredictable, which makes them an absolute nightmare to deal with in any kind of conflict. And think about this. Because they speak so rarely, when they finally do decide to talk, everybody listens. Their words aren't just more noise. They land with the force of a hammer. They cut right through all the debate to expose the truth or to deliver the final checkmate. It's the scarcity of their words that gives them so much power. So, let's turn this whole idea back on ourselves and the world we see every day. We've all been taught to value the person who's outspoken, the charismatic speaker, the one who's always at the center of attention. But maybe, just maybe, we've been looking for power in all the wrong places. If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The next time you're in a meeting or a party or any group setting, don't just focus on the person talking the loudest. Scan the edges of the room. Look for the one who's just watching, listening, and waiting. And be very, very careful about what you assume their silence means. Which really leaves us with one final big question for you to think about. Is this kind of strategic silence truly the ultimate form of strength and control? Or could it sometimes just be a mask for a really deep insecurity? What do you think?